Welcome to Reflecting Minds. Today we will be continuing with the book Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And we will be discussing 2 to 3 chapters, I guess. One topic which interests me is persistence, and then failure and destiny, and there's one more topic, faith. So let me see how many we can cover today. Failure, and yes, there was some topic faith, but I can't find it right now. Okay, let's start with resistance. Yeah, here we go. 25 is faith. Resistance. The chapter 22, resistance. And he said unto them, which you shall have a friend, and shall go unto him at midnight, and say unto him, Friend, lend me 3 loaves, for a friend of mine in his journey is come to me, and I have nothing to set before him. And he from within shall answer and say, Trouble me not, the door is now shut, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot rise and give dire. I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him, because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity he will rise and give him as many as he needeth. And I say unto you, Ask, and it shall be given you; seek, and you shall find; knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Luke 11:5-9. There are 3 principal characters in this quotation, you and the 2 friends mentioned. The first friend is desired state of consciousness, the second friend is desired seeking fulfillment. 3 is a symbol of wholeness, completion. Loaves symbolizes the substance. The shut door symbolizes the sense which separate the seen from the unseen. Children in the bed means ideas that are dormant. Inability to rise means a desired state of consciousness cannot rise to you. You must rise to it. Importunity means demanding persistency, a kind of brazen impudence. Ask, seek, and knock mean assuming that the consciousness of already having what you desire. Thus, the scripture tells you that you must persist in the rising to assuming the consciousness of your wish already being fulfilled. The promise is definite that if you are shameless in your impudence in assuming that you already have that which you sense denied, it shall be given unto you, your desire shall be attained. The Bible teaches the necessity of persistence by the use of many stories. When Jacob sought a blessing from the angel with whom he wrestled, he said, I will not let thy go, except thou bless me. When the Shunammite sought the help of the Elisha, he said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thy, and he arose and followed her. The same idea is expressed in another passage. And he spake a parable unto them that men ought always to pray and not to faint, saying, There was in a city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded men. And there was a widow in that city. And she came unto him, saying, Avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, Though I fear not God, nor regard men, yet because this widow trouble me, I will avenge her, lest she bury me by her continual coming. Luke 18:1-5. The basic truth underlying each of these stories is that the desire springs from the awareness of the ultimate attainment, and that the persistence in maintaining the consciousness of the desire already being fulfilled results in the fulfillment. It is not enough to feel yourself into the state of unanswered prayer. You must persist in that state. That is the reason for the injunction. Men ought always to pray and not to faint. Here to pray means to give thanks for already having what you desire. Only persistency is in the assumption of the wish fulfilled can cause those subtle changes in your mind which result in the desired change in your life. It matters not whether these be angels, Elisha, or the reluctant judge, all must respond in harmony with your persistent assumption. When it appears that the people other than yourself in your world do not act towards you as you would like, it is not due to the reluctance on their part, but as a lack of the persistence in your assumption of your life already begin as you want it to be. Your assumption to be effective cannot be a single isolated act. It must be a maintained attitude of the wish fulfilled. And that maintained attitude that gets you there so that you think from your wish fulfilled instead of thinking about your wish is aided by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Frequently, it is the frequency, not the length of the time, that makes it natural. That to which you constantly return constitutes your truest self. Frequent occupancy of the feeling of wish fulfilled is the secret of success. That is the chapter, end of the chapter persistence. So next chapter we will do is failure. That is chapter 24. Let's go here. Okay. Chapter 24, failure. This book would not be complete without some discussion of the failure in the attempted use of the law of assumption. It is entirely possible that you either have had or will have a number of failures in this respect, many of them in the really important matters. If having read this book, having a thorough knowledge of the application and the working of the law of assumption, you faithfully apply it in an effort to attain some intense desire and fail, what is the reason? If to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes, and still attainment of the desire was not realized, what is the reason of your failure? The answer to this is the most important factor in the successful use of the law of the assumption. The time it takes your assumption to become fact. Your desire to be fulfilled is directly proportionate to the naturelessness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of your failure. Regardless of your desire, regardless of how faithfully and intelligently you follow the law, if you do not feel the natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. If it does not feel natural to you to get a better job, you will not get a better job. The whole principle is vividly expressed by the Bible phrase, you die in your sins. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired. How can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? The secret lies in one word, imagination. For example, this is a very simple illustration. Assume that you are securely chained to a large heavy iron bench. You could not possibly run. In fact, you could not even walk. In these circumstances, it would be natural for you to run. Would not be natural for you to run. You could not even feel that it was natural for you to run, but you could easily imagine yourself running. In that instant, while your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound. In the imagination, you are running was completely natural. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, imagining yourself being what you want to or having what you desire. Progress can spring only from your imagination, from your desire to transcend your present level. What you truly and literally must feel is that with your imagination, all things are possible. You must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but by the change of consciousness. You may fail to achieve or sustain the particular state of the consciousness necessary to produce the effect you desire, but once you know the consciousness is the only reality and the sole creator of your particular world, have burned this truth into your whole being, then you know that the success or failure is entirely in your own hands. Whether or not you are disciplined enough to sustain the required state of consciousness in a specific instance has no bearing on the truth of the law itself. That an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into the fact. The certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment and tragedy. Even when you see the light of the life goes out and all the world go on as though it were still day, you must not believe that because of your assumption failed to materialize the truth that assumption materialize is a lie. If your assumptions are not fulfilled, it is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. However, these errors or weaknesses can be overcome. Therefore, press on to the attainment of the higher levels by feeling that you already are a person you want to be. And remember that the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturelessness of being it. Man surrounds himself with the true image of himself. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house a world, and beyond its world a heaven. Know then that world exists for you. For you, the phenomenon is perfect. But what we are, that only can we see. All the Adam had, all the Caesar could, you have and can do. Adam called his house heaven and earth. Caesar called his house Rome. You perhaps call your scholar's trade 100 acres of land or a scholar's grant, yet line for the line and point for the point. Your dominion is great as theirs, though without fine name. Build therefore your own world as fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind. That will unfold its great proportion. Emerson. Next, we will be discussing chapter faith. A miracle is a name given by those who have no faith to the works of faith. Faith is substance of the things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrew 11:1. The very reason for the law of the assumption is contained in this quotation. If they were not a deep-seated awareness that which you hope for had a substance and was possible of the attainment, it would be impossible to assume the consciousness of being or having it. It is fact that the creation is finished and everything exists that stirs you to hope, and hope in turn implies expectations, and without expectation of success, it would be impossible to use consciously the law of assumption. Evidence is a sign of actuality. Thus, this quotation means that faith is the awareness of reality of that which you assume, a conviction of the reality of the things which you do not see, the mental perception of the reality of the invisible. Consequently, it is obvious that a lack of the faith means the disbelief in the existence of that which you desire. In as much as that which you experience is a faithful reproduction of your state of the consciousness, lack of the faith will mean perpetual failure in any conscious use of the law of assumption. In all the ages of the history, faith has played a major role. It permeates all the great religion of the world. It is woven all through the mythology, and yet today it is almost universally misunderstood. Contrary to the popular opinion, the efficacy of the faith is not due to the work of any outside agency. It is from first to the last an activity of your own consciousness. The Bible is full of many statements about the faith, of the true meaning of which few are aware. Here are some typical examples. Unto us was the gospel preached as well, and unto them but the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with the faith in them that heard it. Hebrew 4:2. In the quotation, the us and them make clear that all us hear the gospel means good news. Very obviously, good news for you would be that you had attained your desire. This is always being preached to you by your infinite self. To hear that which you desire does not exist, and you need only to accept it in consciousness is the good news. Not mixing with the faith means to deny the reality of what that which you desire. Hence, there is no profit attainment possible. O faith, lace and preserve generation, how long shall I be with you? Matt 17:17. The meaning of the faithless has been made clear. Perverse means turn the wrong way. In other words, the consciousness of not being what you want to be. To be faithless, that is to disbelieve in the reality of that which you assume is to preserve. How long shall I be with you means that the fulfillment of your desire is predicted upon your change to the right state of the consciousness. It is as though that which you desire is telling you that it will not be yours until you turn from being faithless and perverse to the righteousness. As already stated, righteousness is the consciousness of the already being what you want to be. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Hebrew 11:27. Egypt means darkness. Belief in many gods causes the king symbolizes the power of outside condition or the circumstances. He is your concept of yourself as already being what you want to be. Enduring as seeing him who is invisible means persisting in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Thus, this quotation means that by persisting in the assumption that you already are a person you want to be, you rise above all doubts, fear, and belief in the power of the outside condition or the circumstances, and your world inevitably conforms to your assumption. The dictionary definition of faith: the essence of the mind and understanding to the truth. The unvarying adherence to principles are the pretending that they might well have been written with the law of assumption in the mind. Faith does not question, faith knows. The last topic I'm interested in is destiny. Let's see what Neville Goddard has to say about destiny. Your destiny is that which you must inevitably experience. Really, it is an infinite number of individual destinies, each of which, when attained, is starting place for new destinies. Since life is infinite, the concept of an ultimate destiny is inconceivable. When we understand the consciousness is the only reality, we know that it is only created. This means that your consciousness is the creator of your destiny. The fact is, you are creating your destiny every moment, whether you know it or not. Much that is good and even wonderful has come into your life without you having any inkling that you were the creator of it. However, the understanding of the causes of your experience and the knowledge that you are sole creator of the content of your life, both the good and the bad, not only make you as a much keener observer of all the phenomena, but through the awareness of the power of your own consciousness, intensify your appreciation of the richness and the grandeur of life. Regardless of the occasional experiences to the contrary, it is your destiny to rise to the higher and higher states of consciousness and to bring into the manifestation more and more of the creation's infinite wonders. Actually, you are destined to reach the point where you realize that through your own desire, you can consciously create your successive destinies. The study of this book with its details expositions of the consciousness and the operation of the law of assumption is the master key of the conscious attainment of your highest destiny. This very day, start your new life. Approach every experience in a new frame of mind with a new state of consciousness. Assume the noblest and the best of yourself in every aspect, every respect, and continue therein. Make believe great wonders are possible. That was marvelous destiny portion, because I was thinking that when the destiny will come, Neville would suggest something like it is destined, yes, some part of it is written by the God and something like this, but no, he sticks to the point that you are your own destiny maker. The point which I was stating earlier, that I am the manifester of my own universe. So yes, you all are manifesto of your own world. Please work on yourself and be the best version of yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching Reflecting Mind. Hope to see you in the next session, next book, next chapter. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.